him trying to explain identity politics while also being 85 is hilarious. He did not do a good job with that at all. like I know what he's trying to say, and he failed to say it. Okay.
Actually fighting for them. So please give a warm, flagrant welcome to the last honest man in politics from Brooklyn, New York, Senator Bernie Sanders.
Hey. All right, I'm getting out of here.
That's all downhill.
That's it.
Okay, I have a question. Okay, listen, and this is probably a sensitive topic. It might be too soon, actually. It actually might be too soon. Okay, so if you don't want to answer, I totally understand. In 1958, I think you know where this is going.
Go ahead.
When Walter O'Malley.
Oh, God.
I know. This one cuts deep. When he moves the Brooklyn Dodgers to Los Angeles, and he does it for corporate greed and profits, and he doesn't care about the community that built up that team.
That's right.
It broke a young Brooklyn boy's heart, probably many.
Okay, I don't care about this stuff.
It seems like...
You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
Is it a fair question?
Yeah, it is a very fair question. All right. Politics, what politics...
Do you think Bernie looks comfortable in the interview because Andrew Schulz looks like a dude from his time? If I was Bernie, I would feel extra uncomfortable because he looks like a dude from his time, as in, like, one of the pilots in the German side of the conflict. So I would be extra uncomfortable as a 90-year-old Jewish man in the presence of someone that looks like Andrew Schulz.
Politics is paid in the media is, who's running for office, what Donald Trump said, and all that stuff. And that's all important. But if you take a deep breath and you think about real politics, serious politics, what's it about? It's about three things, it seems to me. Number one, where are we as a country today? And that seems like a simple question. It is not a simple question. Okay, how did we get to where we are? And equally important, where do we want to go in the future?
Amen.
Right?
Yep.
Reasonable questions?
Absolutely.
All right.
He doesn't look that much anymore. He cut the he no longer has the undercut.
Today. Let me underline that. 60% of people live paycheck to paycheck.
Yep.
Got it? I grew up in a family that lived paycheck to paycheck. All right? Where paycheck to paycheck is living under enormous stress. What happens if my landlord raises my rent? What happens if my kid gets sick and I can't afford to take him to the doctor? What happens if my car breaks down? You know that significant numbers of people in this country, you have money, you don't think about it. But if you don't have any money and your car breaks down.
Serious question, how can they fix the issue of Jews not having a state then? Also free Palestine? What do you mean Jews not having a state? That's not how that works, man. Up until recently, there were more Jews living in the United States of America than there were in Israel. Just when you slap Jew behind a statement like that, I think a lot of people don't realize that, like, what you're saying is you want an ethno state. Okay? That's ridiculous. Meaning their own country. I know you're meaning their own country. But what you're describing is an ethno state. Do you get it? Do you understand? That's not how this works. You don't get to have an ethno state, and you certainly don't get to have an ethno state on someone else's land that you are constantly fucking occupying and killing the indigenous population over the course of 77 years. It doesn't work that way. Unless you're a racist, in which case, I don't think you are. From my understanding, Israelis are fighting for a right to exist somewhere. Israelis is not a real thing. First of all, I mean, it's no nation state is a real thing regardless, but like Israel is a settler colonial franchise. What you're talking about is a settler colonial occupation that started far before Israel was invented out of whole cloth. And it started on land that didn't belong to them. This doesn't mean that, like, Jews should not be welcome. That would be insanely anti-Semitic. My point is, like even the migration patterns into historic Palestine, if it yielded a completely secular nation state and wasn't like a violent endeavor, a violent settler colonial enterprise, it would be perfectly fine. People move from place to place all the time. There's migration patterns oftentimes from colonies to the host nation. Like if you are asking, yeah, I mean the great question here is like you should be asking yourself, is it okay for the whites to have an ethno state? Do you think white Christians should have an ethno state? Jews aren't allowed to have a country. Yeah, that's a stupid statement that people say in a way to get people like yourself on board. They somewhat do. Where is the white ethno state? I'm unfamiliar. I mean, there was one. I think you were talking about like what Rhodesia was supposed to look like, and it failed. Similar to what Israel is doing, but Israel is more successful. No, they somewhat do not. How can we fix the issue of not having a white race state? It's not an issue that there is no what? What's going on? A lot of races are getting comfortable. Europe was all white ethno states for 2,000 years. That's amazing. White Germans aren't allowed a country. That's all of Europe. White ethno states, so all of Europe for 2,000 years. Dog, the concept of what you consider to be a white ethno state is so fucking funny if you think that for 2,000 years there were white ethno states in Europe. First of all, 2,000 years ago, the fucking domineering force on the European continent, they would laugh at you if you were to try to point to that and say that they're white. Whiteness in that regard was being a part of the socio-political construct, the in-group, okay? These people were not white in the way that you understand it. Yeah. Have the Slavic states at any point considered each other white? How do you fix the issue of furries not having a state? I know, that's the most pressing issue. I get your point, but what do I say to Kurdish people who want the same thing? Sorry for the repos. Yeah, Kurdish people live there. That's the difference. Kurdish people are 35 million without a nation state at all. Okay? And that already is a complex subject that is a massive, massive fucking point of contention that America loves using against all of the other surrounding countries in the region. Having said that, Kurdish people did not settle there by like the British Empire, okay? They weren't like settled on that land and they previously used to live in fucking Europe. They were there. Like they were there and then they were displaced. There's a difference. Let's continue.
It's over. And it's $1,000 bill to get it fixed.
Yep.
And you can't afford it. You tell me what happens.
Yep.
All right. Bottom line is you got millions.
What about Islamic fundamentalist states like Iran that expelled their religious minorities? Is that just not as bad? First of all, do you think, like, even if I were to say that what you're describing is 100% correct, do you think I would defend that? Like, I don't even think that's correct. But even if it was, why would I fucking defend that? Think. Would Israel like being compared to Iran in any capacity? I don't get it. No, I don't think it's appropriate to fucking expel any kind of religious or ethnic minority. I don't agree. Also, I don't think Iran is a ethno state anyway.
and millions of people, working class people, lower income people, struggling to put food on the table. Okay, that is the first profound reality. And the question we've got to ask, why is that in the richest country on earth? All right, that's number one. Number two.
Turkey's been described as an ethno-state and how it feels being there. Yeah, there is this need to make everyone Turkish, but also suppress other aspects of identity for the sake of Turkishness. Example, see the Kurds. People criticize Turkey for that, yet seem to hold a candle for Israel. Oh, I thought you were saying I hold a candle for Turkey and don't criticize like the Turkish treatment of the Kurds. I don't think people call Turkey an ethno-state, to be fair. Like, I don't even think that that's like a Westerner position.
You have a healthcare system. How's the healthcare? You tell me. Got a great healthcare system in America? Well, what do you think?
I mean, if you can afford it, it's pretty good.
That's right.
Yeah, I think that's a better way to look at it.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
All right? If you got the money, you got the best healthcare system in the world.
Yeah.
But most people don't. How many nations do not guarantee healthcare to all people as a human right? You guys know?
How many?
One major country. You're living in it. So here's the insanity. We are spending twice as much per person on healthcare as most of the European countries.
Guarantee free healthcare. Not to correct you, but
Yeah.
we won't refuse care if you need it. Oh, wait, we will.
Well, it's a little bit more subtle than you guys think. What do you do when you don't have any money? You go to the doctor?
I go to the emergency room. I say I'm sick.
Yeah, but you go to the emergency room, but you're not like, it's not an emergency. They'll say, well,
I'm just a little bit sick. I just avoid it. That starts to fester. It gets worse.
you got it.
And that actually probably causes more strain.
It does. And you know what else it
programs.
results in? The study from Yale was that 68,000 people a year die precisely. You go talk
Just
to
from
the
pushing
doctor.
off illness.
Next time you go to a doctor, say, are people coming into your office much sicker than they should be?
Yeah.
And the answer is yes, they are.
And that's just avoiding copays. Avoiding,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, fair enough.
So people do die by the large numbers. What about our educational system? Psychologists tell us that 0 through 4, most important years of emotional and intellectual development. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we must have a great childcare system, right? Because we love our kids, we nurture our kids, we pay childcare professionals. Really, we appreciate them and respect them. We pay childcare workers McDonald's wages.
Yeah. It's shocking. It's also shocking how much competition there is to get your kid into like a favorable preschool.
Right.
Like you have to start lobbying these preschools at 1 year. My daughter is 15 months, and already now you're like,
he's like a pharma company to get his kid into.
Exactly. Like you're kind of walking in, you're meeting people, they're exchanging pleasantries, and it's all under this guise of, I hope they accept my kid.
Right. Because you have a massive shortage.
Yeah.
And if people don't have any money, it is really difficult. And so I don't know what it costs here in New York City.
I wonder if this conversation
Milan
will
costs
bear
15,
fruit
20
at like something new, unique, or different. You know what I mean? Like shits on Elon, Citizens United, super PACs. Like we've heard this so many times. Here, let's see what he says about Israel. Let's pivot to Israel right after this Blue Chew ad. That's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, we are Bernie scholars on this broadcast. We've heard this man explain all of these things thoroughly millions of times.
Exactly what it is, because I feel like we hear these words like Citizens United, and a lot of people like we just
And super PACs.
yeah, so we just kind
More military aid to Netanyahu's extreme right-wing government to do the horrible things that are going on in Gaza right now. As you may know, as we speak, it's horrible.
Absolutely.
Children are starving to
Absolutely.
death. Malnutrition, growing, and all that stuff. All right. I introduced legislation to say we're going to block the sale of certain military weaponry to Israel. I got 15 Democrats to support me. I got 0 Republicans. Why do you think more Democrats didn't support me? Because if Democrats support me, they will have to take on AIPAC. You mentioned Jamal Bowman.
yeah.
Well, that's what you're talking about.
What they spend like 15 or 20 million to get him out of there. This is up in Westchester too.
You got it?
Okay.
Cory Bush in Missouri, St. Louis, was defeated. A woman in the state of Washington.
Also, banning me earlier didn't make you being a joke disappear law. Brother, that's what you said? Jews don't exist or have a place that was established legitimately? I mean, if you're posting about Israel, then yeah, it isn't established legitimately. It's established illegitimately. Also, if you actually give a shit, you wouldn't be one-sided on genocide. I think it's perfectly valid to give a shit and be one-sided. Seriously, though, you can actually make a difference. Drop the hate. Oh, shut the fuck up. So USA is a settler statement? So the USA is a settler statement? Yeah, dude. Do you think that was okay? You think the indigenous genocide of the native population was appropriate? I don't think so. The fuck? I love Bernie, but you are an extremist with a lot of what you say. Also, banning me earlier didn't make you being a joke disappear law. Brother, you like Asmongold. I think it's fine if you considered me to be a joke. That's more of a self-own than anything else.
Washington Pramila Jayapal's sister brand. So if you want to...
Sorry, I had to watch the VOD, read Chatter's comments. Chat is saying there shouldn't be Jewish country because that's racist, but hello, there are Muslim countries. Am I missing something? I'm legit not trolling, trying to understand both sides. Yes. If there was a group of Muslims that were shipped into another country, a Christian country, okay, and forced every single person out of their ancestral homelands, and then basically fucking decided this is ours now, and dominated the indigenous population. You know what you would call that? You'd call that ISIS. That's what ISIS did, and that's precisely what Israel is doing. When you say like, oh, there are Muslim countries that exist. Oh my God, people are saying the UK. Okay, I can't tell if you guys are fucking joking about what racist people say or if you're actually personally racist. The UK though? Oh my God, are people legitimately saying that that is what is happening in the UK is like Muslim migration into the UK is forcing out the indigenous Ingerlanders? Wait, they want Sharia? No, that's... What are you saying? There is 0% chance I have this many fucking... there's this many dumbasses. Just because there's a bunch of white people doesn't mean it's an ethno-state chatter. Yeah, it's like... Let's be honest. You're telling me a American of Muslim background living in the United States of America who knows many Muslim people in the UK that actually the Islamic migration into the UK is actually an invasion and they are trying to do Sharia law in the UK. There's a white genocide happening in the UK. White people are so crazy, bro. They literally think they invite, first of all, they dominate the entire planet. And then when the people from those colonies go, okay, we want to come there, they fucking at first say, yeah, that's actually a great idea because we need cheap labor. And then they go, wait a minute, I don't actually like it. There's too many brown people around me. What the fuck do you mean? Well, you shouldn't have colonized the planet then. What are you talking about? And especially as it pertains to the United Kingdom, you should be fucking kissing the feet of all the Muslims that came to the goddamn country and all the people that came from the Caribbeans, all the people that came from India, so that you can actually eat something that isn't fucking jellied eels for once. Oh my God. You should literally be celebrating all of the immigration that took place so that there is like some semblance of diversity on the fucking island. God damn. Give me the option of beans on toast. Give me the option of fucking beans on toast. By the way, this person is quickly unwinding his argument. Give me the option of beans on toast and jellied eel versus Sharia and fucking doner and kebabs. I'm taking Sharia. I'm literally taking Sharia law. Okay. I'm taking halal meat and Sharia law as long as we got the fucking donors, right? Fucking hell. Instead of the mushy peed, yeah? Could happen to the West. What? You know, there's some belief that Jewish communities in Palestine gain influence by acquiring significant amounts of land. Could happen to the West. What? What are you saying? This chatter was saying free Palestine in 2021. What happened to this person's brain? Stupid Zionists, free Palestine, Israel, yuck, Israel, yuck. In 2021, did your brain reset? What the fuck happened? Did your brother take over your account or something? How did this take place? You went from free Palestine to like, well, actually, the Muslims are overtaking. There is a great replacement. Yes, I know that initially land ownership took place. I believe it comprised of 3% of the land that Israel currently occupies. Okay? That's not the same as they bought all the land, so it's theirs. Okay? The fuck are we talking about? Or 6%. It was 3% of the population was Jewish, pre-Israel, and they had ownership over 6% of the land. Who gives a fuck? What do you mean? Ain't nobody saying Jews are not allowed to own property. What the fuck are we talking about, dude? The entire point is that ownership of property doesn't mean you get to ethnically cleanse the indigenous population. Like, what are we, like, you know how Dr. Phil was freaking out about, like, the Chinese are coming to purchase farmland? Like, okay, do they get to now ethnically cleanse the Americans that live around the farmland? They bought it. I guess that's appropriate now. Like, that's not how this works. I don't have any issue with anyone buying fucking land anywhere. I don't give a fuck. Go ahead. Have fun with the land. That doesn't mean that you get to be like, well, this is mine, and all the surrounding areas are also mine, and it happens to have other people living there, but now I'm going to kill them. Yes, you said exactly that. Jews don't have any land. No, I never said that. What are you talking about? And no, it can't happen to the West. That's also stupid. There is a difference between Jewish people owning land, okay, and doing ethnic cleansing. Like, when I bought this house that I'm sitting inside of, I didn't ethnically cleanse the previous homeowner, okay? That's not how I'm not expanding into the West Hollywood territory, okay? It's not my nation state now. I just bought a house. And I know a lot of people get mad at that because they're like, socialist, but you own a house. But, like, you know, it just doesn't extend beyond me owning this property, okay? What the fuck? Like, I'm not saying, this is so funny. It's like, dude, are you saying Jews should not be able to own land? No. Oh, fucking Asmongold fans, man. Dude, clear out the earwax, okay? Clear out the earwax. You are not Asmongold. You are not him.
Speak out against Netanyahu's government and oppose military sales. AIPAC, which is also funded by billionaires who support both Democrats and Republicans,
so
we'll go after.
How can they do this effectively? Like, how can they sway a vote if the people don't support the idea?
You know how you do it?
How?
This is rather amazing. Great question. You don't talk about the issue.
Oh, you make that person so radioactive.
Yeah. Right. They didn't talk. When they went after I was up in Westchester.
Now you're undermining the democratic process.
I was up in Westchester campaigning for Bowman.
Yeah.
And I supported Cory Bush as well. To the best of my knowledge, and I'm 99% sure I'm right, they didn't say one word about Israel.
Wow.
The argument was he's a bad Democrat or whatever the usual negative advertising. Didn't talk about.
He's right about this, and this is actually a very important point. AIPAC knows that if they were to constantly pump ads saying that, like, Jamal Bowman hates Israel, Jamal Bowman would have won the primaries, okay? Even though he was redistricted, and even though there was a higher Jewish population, Jewish American population in the area, in the new district, and some of them probably had a more favorable opinion of Israel, like, AIPAC knew that if they were to run ads being like Jamal Bowman hates Israel and that's why he must go, literally everyone would be like, okay, fuck you. I don't like Israel either, which is precisely the reason why they didn't do that. And instead they were like, he's a bad Democrat.
But Israel.
So this is quite interesting because if a group, like if a super PAC was honest about what they were raising against, for example, they spent that $20 million specifically defending their position on Israel, I wonder if we would be more amenable to that because that is the issue at hand instead of using funding to make this.
He would not have lost. If there were $20 million worth of ads in any market just talking about how this guy thinks Israel ain't shit, dude, that would be positive campaigning for that person. I'm not even kidding. First of all, they don't even say that, though. They will just say, like, he's a bad guy. He's a racist. He is, anti-Jewish. Okay? But I'm not so certain that even that, like, even marking you as being anti-Semitic, even marking you as anti-Semitic will hit that same note anymore. Because, like, most people translate it to being anti-Israel. They don't even, or even more damaging, most people don't associate that with a negative connotation, which is really fucked up and scary for the future of this goddamn country. But, like, a lot of people, even in more progressive communities, I think, a lot of people in more progressive communities, I think, look at that and they're like, oh, yeah, all right, here we go. This guy said something mean about Israel, and now AIPAC, the Israeli lobby, is pushing this idea that this is an anti-Semitic person
Radioactive, which they might not exactly be. And undermining, it is duplicitous. You're undermining the people, and that's where you remove, wow.
That's a very good point. All right.
What is a janissary, and why were you joking about it? Please describe to me this joke that you made so that I can get mad.
Have unlimited amounts of money. But your point is, hey, if that's what your goal is, be honest about it.
And I say this with you because you raise money not from a few billionaires, but like you guys raise, what is it, Sunrise and then Democrat Justice or Democracy Just. There are these groups that are a little different than super PACs, but they are raising money on a grassroots level.
We do.
But you are being honest about what you're raising money for.
Exactly. You're right. So your point is right. If somebody says, look, I love Netanyahu, I think they're doing a good job, you oppose him, and I'm going to oppose you for that reason, let's be honest about it.
Exactly.
But you know what? I think one of the reasons they don't do that, you know why?
Because it wouldn't be supported.
That's right.
So is there any solution beyond getting Citizens United overturned by another?
That's a great question, man. Thank you. You're asking really good questions. We're working on it right now. And here is, without going too much into the weeds, we need to end Citizens United. That's not going to happen tomorrow. But what you can do is within the Democratic Party. Or the
they talk about Bernie bros? What the fuck?
That says, you want to be the candidate of the Democratic Party? Well, guess what?
No, I'm genuinely curious. I've been an avid follower, and I just needed some clarity. That's all. Janissaries are a part of the Ottoman Empire's like specialized forces that were stolen as non-Muslim boys at an early age that were trained for combat. They are the most competent fighting force of the Ottoman Empire historically. And I was talking to Bad Empanada, who is Greek, which was previously a conquered Ottoman territory. And therefore, I was saying he is my janissary as I am the Ottoman son, and he is my janissary as a Greek. Why do people treat me like a fucking search engine? Jesus Christ. Didn't they do that to the Dracul kids? Yes and no. The Vlad Dracul Tepesh and his brother were also a part of a similar structure, but they weren't. I don't think they were janissaries. I think they were. What is it called? They were exchanged as a pact. What are they? They're wards, hostages, wards. Thank you, Chatter, or a vassal. So, in a way to instill good faith in negotiations between warring parties. The Ottoman Empire and other countries, other monarchs would oftentimes exchange their kin, just like in Game of Thrones. And then those wards would, of course, get proper training and all this stuff. And I will never forgive Vlad the Impaler for turning on the Mehmed the Conqueror, the greatest conqueror of all time, 1453, best year of my life, only to be assassinated many, many years after the crimes that he committed by impaling a bunch of Muslim people in, I think, what is now known as Romania. Actually fucked up. Yes, Vlad the Impaler is also the actual historical figure. Vlad the Impaler aside is like what is used as a reference point for what is known for Dracula. Like that's like there's a real guy, Vlad Dracul Tepes, and that is what became known as Dracula. He was a real crazy dude.
You tell, and this is again tricky, you tell that you announce very clearly you do not want any super PACs supporting you. And by the way, if super PACs support you, for every dollar they put in, we're going to put another dollar in supporting you. There are things you can do. We're going to run ads.
We're going to offset it.
If we're going to,
I'm sorry. I have to ask this. I'm sorry. I hate to interrupt you. We have a
That's right, Andrew. It isn't capped that Israel has a right to defend themselves. Felix definitely has a lot more smoke for both Bernie and Andrew Schulz than I do. Okay. It isn't cap. I wish I could hear Bernie say it isn't cap. I forgot why I was obsessed by the year 1453, best year of my life.
question we want to ask about what happened to you in 2016 with this Bernie Bros movement, where your followers are seeing they have a racism problem, a misogyny problem. Do you think that's a super PAC thing behind that?
That was the Democratic establishment. That was the.
Wow. Okay.
That was just, they were sitting there. We had a lot of young people. We had people of color, and they create this kind of myth with the help of the corporate media and all that stuff.
It's kind of interesting to that note is during this election, the podcast space, which the Democrats largely avoided, they feel had some influence in the election, and they started to label us the podcast bros. And said that we were sexist and we were racist and bigoted. It's almost like it's the exact same strategy to get you out of there.
Yeah, that's what the liberal elite China does. They run away. Look, again, I would hope that everybody who's watching the program is that we as a nation have got to end all forms of bigotry, right?
Yes.
That I start off as a basic assumption.
Unless it's to your close friends, right?
Yeah, whether it's racism or sexism, homophobia, or xenophobia, whatever it is. But, liberal Democrats talk about that all the time. And then you get to what we call identity politics.
Yeah.
That you're black, you're wonderful, you're tremendous, you're gay, you're the greatest human being on earth.
Yeah.
And rather than say, what do you
him trying to explain identity politics while also being 85 is hilarious. He did not do a good job with that at all. Like I know what he's trying to say, and he failed to say it. Okay. You're black, you're wonderful, you're gay, oh tremendous. Oh, no, Bernie. Bernie, scale it back. He's actually a MAGA communist now. He's he's turned ACP. Bernie's like, we must build a third party. It's the American Communist Party. We must maintain a level of nationalist fervor amongst ourselves.
You stand for?
Exactly.
Gay, that's fine. Who cares?
Yeah, yeah.
But what do you stand for?
Yeah.
You know, it's every
He didn't say anything wrong, though. No. He was trying to say, I don't give a shit what someone's background is. I care about what you stand for, which he follows up with. But in the beginning, he was like, oh, yeah, everybody thinks gay people and black people are tremendous.
gay person, brilliant and wonderful and great. No, of course not. Everybody's a human being.
Yeah.
So the issue is what you stand for, which gets you back to what we discussed earlier, class politics, in the
Yes.
sense of which side are you on? Are you going to stand with working families? Are you going to raise the minimum wage to a living wage or not? Are you going to fight to guarantee health care to all people or not? Are you going to demand that the wealthiest people start paying their fair share of taxes or not? Those are the issues. And no one cares what color you are, you know, what your gender is, et cetera, et cetera.
I'm sorry. I do feel like vowing to stop taking super PAC money is a great first step, but also being an honest politician. You put up a bill to stop the sale of weapons to Israel, and there's no amount of money AIPAC can spend to not get you reelected. And I feel if we had more honest politicians,
Okay.
then
Courageous ones.
yeah,
You're raised. This is a very this is a good discussion.
Why are you shocked?
Wow, this is a good discussion.
I am shocked because I do a lot of media stuff. Right. You're asking questions that are not often asked.
This episode has been promoted by Walter O'Malley's Foundation.
All right. It's a painful issue. I mean, because I deal with it every day in Washington. This is you're running for office. If you, in your heart, understand what's going on in Gaza right now, and again, it's almost painful to talk about it. The United States is complicit.
I guess I was just a little shocked that it's only at 266,000 views in 10 hours.
Starvation of children as we speak right this moment. Okay. Mass malnutrition.
Hasan, have you ever gone over why Andrew only accept this rhetoric from Bernie specifically? No, they don't just accept this kind of rhetoric from Bernie only. If anything, you can say it goes in from one ear and out the other, and there is some truth to that. But what are you talking about? These are guys that I talk to as well. These are guys whose podcasts I've been on as well. They don't have like a real gripe with people like myself. Their audience might.
Nutrition, etc. And you say that's wrong, man. And I'm not going to give Netanyahu another nickel, but I know.
I know
the
exactly
day
what
I
this
say
clip
that,
is.
AIPAC is going to pour a huge amount of money. So what's the choice you have? The choice you have is, okay, they're going to throw a lot of money at me, but I'm going to make this a major campaign issue.
Ooh.
I ain't going to run away from it.
Yeah.
What do we stand for as a nation? And I'll tell you something, getting back to the Democratic Party. What the Democratic establishment people say, well, Gaza, yeah, it's an issue out there, but it's not the main issue. It's not the pocketbook issues, more important. Healthcare is more important. But you know what? I'll tell you this is my own view, is what people have a sense, consciously and unconsciously, if you are turning your back on starving children in Gaza, why the hell am I going to trust you on anything?
It's a great point.
Is that a fair point?
I think it's a very fair point. I think if you turn your back on starvation in general, especially if you're complicit in it, I think that's where a lot of, at least voters feel like there is some sort of separation. And if you make them realize that there isn't, right? If we are protecting or funding or rewarding this in any way, then you are complicit. But I think voters feel like they're too derivative from it. They're like, oh, well, that's not exactly what I'm voting for. And I do think, not to undermine those other issues, but like I do think the kitchen table issues, or I think those are incredibly important. And I think the more that people are struggling internally in our country, the less of a concern we have externally.
So it is a tough balance. If you make your entire campaign about Gaza, the people in whatever small area that you represent will go, "Hey, listen, that's horrible what's happening over here,
You're right. You're
but we're
exactly
struggling too. So don't forget about us."
You got it. You got it right.
So how do you balance those two?
Well, that's what politics is about. I mean, you make.
I feel like you've done.
How many weeks ago has Bernie become vocal about Gaza? Okay, some of you guys are fucking delusional if you think that Bernie hasn't been vocal about Gaza. It's how he has become vocal about Gaza that matters. Not that he wasn't vocal about Gaza. He's been vocal about fucking Gaza. What are you talking about? In the Senate, he literally fucking presented a bill. Like, this is the thing that frustrates me, okay? A lot of people are just like not knowledgeable. Like, the reason why I think Bernie falls short of my expectations, or the expectations of normal people that are not oblivious to the situation, is because he is not someone who's oblivious to the situation in Gaza. He's always been vocal about this shit. And especially at a time like right now, when more and more Americans are like waking the fuck up and learning about this shit, Bernie should be literally guiding the change, especially as the highest profile Jewish senator that almost won the highest office. Like, he is a very knowledgeable person, and he at least comes from a background of radical politics. So my expectation of him is way different than my expectation of, like, I don't know, a fucking American senator, you know what I mean? Chris Murphy or some shit. When you hear about people like Chris Murphy or Chris Van Hollen, people like that have a unique take similar to Bernie Sanders on the issue of Israel, you go, wow, that person is like pretty fucking out there with their position, which is precisely the reason why I don't assume Bernie to maintain this position and go beyond simply saying, like, Israel has a right to defend itself 19 months in. Chucky isn't the highest profile Jewish office holder. Please. Chuck Schumer has the highest rank, but that doesn't mean he's the highest profile Jewish American politician. Bernie Sanders definitely is the highest profile Jewish American politician. Like, not even no one comes even close. Do you see what I'm saying though? With like Peter Welch is outflanking Bernie right now on a lot of this stuff in terms of like his speeches on Gaza. That's not appropriate. Like, that's your. This isn't me shitting on Peter Welch. It's me criticizing Bernie. Like, you can't have the other senator from Vermont outflank you on Gaza policy. That's crazy. Like, you're supposed to be the North Star for American socialism. And I think that position carries a lot of weight with it. And people will say I'm being silly, but it's shameful.
Done it well. I feel like you talk way more about internal issues than external ones.
I do. And Gaza then becomes a moral issue.
Yeah, he also says that there's no doubt Hamas started this war. Also fucking ridiculous. Like, come on. Oh yeah, Hamas started this war, so why the fuck were you talking about denying aid to Israel in 2016? You know? What, like that? It doesn't even make sense in his own statements. It doesn't match up against his own policies. He ran, like, when I heard an American who had a real shot at becoming one of the major party leaders come out and literally say, we have to deny all fucking financial aid and all weapons transfers to Israel in 2016, I was shocked. I was like, the only time I've ever heard something similar to this is from like a Pat Buchanan type person. You know what I mean? Like, that's not like the only time someone running for office has ever said something similar to that with a real shot at winning was a guy who was an anti-Semite. Okay. That's not the expectation for someone from a progressive slant. It's the correct move, for the record. But it's like the only time you hear is from, like, yeah, Ron Paul or other people like that. You don't actually hear that from someone like someone who's running on the Democrat slant, right? So that was That was shocking. Pat Buchanan. Ron Paul isn't anti-Semitic, though. He's just an isolationist. I mean, he's also fucking anti-Semitic. What are you talking about? Ron Paul has done like the Jewish puppeteer memes and shit. Like, dude, we're talking about American politicians that are like 80. A lot of them think Jews are the money people. Okay, let's be real. Like, literally, that's not. Like, what the fuck do you think? Ron Paul literally was like, one of his signature. One of his signature policies was, I think, overturning the gains made during the civil rights struggle. Like, he had a lot of crazy stuff. Anyway,